Okay, it is a little bit past 6 o'clock, and with that being said, I'm going to move forward with calling to order this meeting of the Murphysboro City Council here at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May the 12th. I'm going to go ahead and rise here in the council chambers and lead us in an invocation, and then thereafter the Pledge of Allegiance. And if I could just remind folks to please mute your phones if you're not speaking, it'll help keep the echo and other distractions down on the call. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you once again for this opportunity to come together as the City Council for Murphysboro. We're very thankful for all of our staff members and all of our city workers who day to day help keep this city moving forward. And we're just thankful for the public and residents that participate in everything that makes up this great community. We pray for all those people who are continuing to work in our healthcare facilities, particularly those people working in our old age homes and assisted living facilities, as we know their job is very difficult with or without the coronavirus. And so we lift them up today that you hold them in your hand. We just pray that our decisions tonight would be a reflection of the best of your will in us. And we pray all these things in your holy name. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I believe we have essentially called the roll of the alderman, but I want to check once more. Is Ms. Hughes on the call this evening?
Yes, I am, sir.
Very good, thank you. We have all of the members of the city council accounted for then. I have, as far as members of city staff, checked in this evening. Ms. Volley, Chief McBride, Chief Ellermeyer, Clerk Hunziker, Ms. Ripley, Mr. Mills, Mr. Sheffer, Mr. Lee, Mr. Blake, and Mr. Kennedy. Do we have other members of the city staff on the line this evening that are not checked in to this point? I think there were two people went at once. So.
Ryan Manwaring's here also.
Patrick Clapham here.
All right, I believe that is all the members of city staff and members of the council on the line. A couple of quick reminders before we get underway with the meeting. As has been past practice, I'll be calling for more roll call votes than we would typically do. It just helps to keep the minutes on this end, and so I appreciate your patience with that. I would also say to any members of the public who might be on the line, we will be giving opportunity for public comment tonight, as we always do during our city council meetings. If someone has public comment that they wish to share, but maybe are not quite comfortable with the technology or the teleconference or something comes to you later, you can always email that to mayor@murphysboro.com, and I'll be happy to share that with all of the members of the city council. And again, I would just remind folks that to mute your phones if possible until such time that you would like to address the meeting. Okay, with that said, we will move into the items on our agenda. First, we have the consideration of council minutes, and we have two minutes from April 22nd and April 28th. We also have a public hearing and special city council meeting on April the 30th, and I would entertain any questions or comments regarding those minutes at this time. All right, hearing no questions or amendments, I entertain a motion to approve. Yes.
Mayor? Sorry, on the April 30th, that's a slight correction down at the bottom. Looks like there's an added character or zero, third from the bottom line, and the word updated.
Thank you for catching that, John.
I move to accept the three sets of minutes.
All right, we have a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Is there a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second from Alderman Urvis and Alderman McComb. Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes,
Yes.
Alderman Curry-Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown, Alderman Brown, Alderman Pearson,
Yes.
Alderman McComb,
Yes.
Alderman Urvis,
Yes.
Alderman Bratton,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yes.
Alderman Campos,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries, and so we approve all of those in one motion. Next, we have consideration of the accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers as included in your packet. We have one list this evening, I believe. No, excuse me, there are two, 920 and 921, and I would entertain any questions on those. Of course, you may note that the list 920 is made up of checks that were a part of the Mercy Grant Program as our response to the coronavirus outbreak.
Mayor Alderman Bratton,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to, abstain on the vote for, these, Mercy grants on the coal smelter. She's a tenant of mine, I want to abstain from that. So when we vote, I will not be voting on her.
All right, we will be sure to show your abstention, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
Thank you.
Mayor, this is Alderman Urvis.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question really, but maybe a request. And don't need to take up the time now, but could we get an email letting us know who these businesses are? Many of them are just in individual names, and I know some of them, but some of them I don't know. I would like to know which actual businesses they are.
If you would like to ask about any specific ones, I'm sure that Ms. Ripley or myself could probably answer those questions now. I wouldn't have a problem answering it in the meeting.
I guess the Wells, Cook, Hale, and Thomason on the first page.
The Hale is I Am Java, the coffee house. The Tomlinson is the Corner Tavern. David Cook is the car detailing shop on Walnut Street, just right across from the Whipple Boys Pizza. And perhaps Ms. Ripley could help me identify the David and Darla Wells. I'm not recalling that one at the moment.
No, I think that's the place that sells all, smoked oil and stuff like that on Walnut there by the Liberty Theater.
That is what it is. It's the hemp shop there on Walnut Street.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Campos.
Yes. I don't know if there is an issue, but maybe I will have to abstain on voting on three businesses. And somehow there is personal connections, and two of them, David and Donna Wells. Building services supply, and the other one will be Glen Salon.
Okay, well, that would be no problem. We're going to be voting on these as an entire package, in a sense, and so as long as we have a sufficient number, we'll probably just show in the minutes for Hunziker that you abstain from them all, but I know that doesn't preclude you from being supportive of the others.
I am absolutely, I support everybody else, but because it might be some familiar relationship one way or the other, I think it'll be better for transparency if I abstain.
I thank you for being transparent and letting us know that. Thank you.
Make a motion
Thank you,
to fail.
Mayor.
Well,
I've heard a motion. I also heard a question. I think from I think it was from Ms. Hughes.
Mayor, this is Alderman Hughes. Yes, this is Alderman Hughes. I started question that it's actually a statement, and they may have, other council members may have caught this, maybe they didn't, but I called about it today, just informational wise. On 921, page 9, where it says Sentinel Emergency Solution, and there's a $35,000 check that says it's the water department. Lucas evidently put it into the wrong account. Leslie has fixed it now, but that is for Vogler for the new vehicle. So
All right. Well, thank you for pointing that out. That mistake. I know sometimes our accounting system doesn't label things properly, and so I'm glad you keep
that
that
is correct.
This is Alderman Bratton, I'll second Alderman McComb's motion to pay the bill.
All right. We have a motion and a second to pay the bills with the abstentions noted. Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes,
Yes.
Alderman Curry-Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown, Alderman Pearson,
Yes.
Alderman McComb,
yes.
Alderman Urbis,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman. One, two, three, four, still have 6, so we should be good.
All right. Motion carries.
You're not gonna call Alderman Bratton or Campos?
We showed both of those as abstentions, Mr. Bratton.
For the whole grant thing? Okay, that's fine. Okay, I understand.
Wait,
I
well,
didn't hear my name either.
okay, yeah, well, we did call it. I don't know if we had a bad connection there, Mr. Bratton.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was a yes.
All right, WJ, are you also a yes?
Yes.
Very good. We are going to show in the minutes your abstention on those accounts and that you were transparent about the conflict of interest that you had. But in order to not have to vote on all 18 or 19 individual ones, I'm making the motion the way that we made it. I hope that's clear. So, all right, well, that takes us to the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Mr. W.J. Pittman. W.J.?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no items under old business. Under new business, we have consideration of financial reports presented by Scott Evans. Mr. Evans here with us.
I am. Thank you, WJ.
Okay.
So, what I have tonight is the sales tax report, which continues to be a very important topic for most municipalities. So, just to look at this, the voucher amount we just got last week was between home rural and sales of $251,135, which actually was a very, very good month. This would represent the February sales. So most of it's pre-shutdown, pre-COVID-19, although there could have been some latter part of the month panic buying to some degree at some of our box stores. Hard to say, but certainly a very good number heading into the unknown. So next month we shall see the outcome of what the shutdown has done to our sales. that's a good thing. Also, in your packet tonight, you'll see, the citywide balance sheet, for March 31st. This is, of course, a snapshot of what the city's finances look like as of March 31st. Of course, each column has, is for each of the funds. And so, citywide, we had total assets of $24,805,000 in assets. We had total liabilities of $14,499,000. And our equities, which represent the city's share of our ownership in those assets, was $10,306,000. And to compare that on the next page to the end of the year that just ended, we were up slightly in the categories of assets by about 100,000, 90,000. Our total debt went down. As things were paid off, of course, and then also our equities are up. And the last report would be the revenues and expenses for the city for the same period, January through March. And across the board for the 3 months, we had surpluses in every fund except for seized assets. And that's just a timing thing. Some items were purchased, but there were sufficient reserves in that fund to be able to afford that. And doesn't mean it's losing money or anything like that. So, and then, slight loss in the downtown tip from one purchase. We haven't received any revenue from that yet, of course. We won't for several years, really. So anyway, so again, going into this period of unknown uncertainty, I'm certainly glad to have a cushion, having some surpluses in these funds for the first 3 months. I would be much more nervous if we were already losing money going into this unknown. So I thought it was important that we looked at that snapshot of these things sort of pre-COVID. So that's the reports I had tonight. Are there any questions?
Scott Alderman appears that I have one. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. I noticed we had a transfer of into the water department for $150,000.
Yeah.
Where did that transfer come from? I noticed it went into water. I suppose that's where it went.
Yes.
What fund do we transfer that from?
That is the customary $50,000 per month that we have earmarked out of the general fund for the last several years to go to water sewer to help fund the loan payments on the sewer plant and the water line replacement. That's been there probably for at least 5 years. So this just happens to be the 3 months worth of that. You'll also see it coming out of the general fund on the first column at the bottom.
Yes, I did.
One.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what that is.
Okay, thanks.
Huh?
All right, thank you, Scott. Next item under new business is consideration of financing. We have fire department extrication equipment and water department trucks. I'm not sure if I turn that back over to Scott as well, Mayor.
I believe that is correct.
Okay. I don't have the specifics, but I did speak with Ms. Ripley today, and she did get financing from quotes from Darrell Waldron at First Bank and Trust of 3.75% for each of those purchases, and we can either choose 3 or 5 years, and at the same rate. So my thinking is we would choose the 5-year. Get ourselves a lower minimum payment, but we could certainly pay it off within 3 if the cash allowed, and therefore save some interest. And as you have already seen, the purchase of the truck, that check has already gone out. So simply what the bank would do would be to write a check to the city to replenish that money, and that would be how the mechanics financing options that I think would be a prudent thing. Not, rather than paying for them outright, burning through our cash, we're not quite sure what that's gonna look like for the next several months. So this just gives us some, manageability of these cash flows, and we could certainly always pay them off early if we deem necessary down the line.
And Scott, we
Question.
currently have, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, okay, Alderman Bratton. WJ, does Ford Motor Company have free financing now?
I don't believe it would be for municipality, no.
Okay. I mean, that, if you know it's not, that's fine. If it is, I think we ought to, when the motion made to finance it or whatever, that we ought to check and see. Or even a better finance rate for where that goes. That's all I have.
You get right down to 3.75. This is Alderman Hughes. 3.75 isn't that bad if you get right down to it for this amount of money. And it's also a local bank.
You're right. You're right.
Oh, the truck's already been purchased.
Right, so Ford probably would not finance it, but, I mean, if you guys think that we should shop that around, I mean, I would, I guess, entertain that motion. I don't know if we need a motion to do that, or if that's just something you guys want to do.
I think keep it local.
I would agree with Alderman Bratton.
Me too. So anybody like to make a motion to finance both of those, items?
Alderman Bratton will make a motion to finance the boat at First Bank and Trust in Murphysboro.
Alderman Conlon will second it.
That is a motion and a second.
All right, Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes,
I have a question. I'm sorry. And it's really to WJ. WJ, should I abstain from this because of my connection to the First Bank?
I would not think so, no. I mean, I think you voted on stuff in the past that we've
I
done.
have, but you cannot finance these things. I mean, there's another thing. Anyway, I would vote yes. If I should abstain for any reason because of my connection, you guys decide.
Barb, I think you're fine to vote yes on that item. I mean, I think probably if we wanted to really get into the details of it, a town the size of Murphysboro, we all vote on things occasionally where there's some connection, so it's impossible to avoid to some extent. But I ultimately, it's up to you.
My vote is yes.
Alderman Curry Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown, Alderman Pearson,
Yes.
Alderman McComb,
Yes.
Alderman Urbis,
Yes.
Alderman Bratton,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yes.
Alderman Campos,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
All right, so that motion carries. Alderman Pittman, up next, we have this item where we have I believe this letter may have been supplied to all the aldermen. I'm not exactly sure of that. Did you have the letter from Jody Crane, WJ?
Yes, it should be in the package.
Well, I would just say this house, as it reads, is next door to the Public Works building. He is asking $15,000 for it. I would turn to Mr. Darren Mills to get his thoughts or Mr. Lee's thoughts on what the use of it from their perspective might be if we would decide to purchase it. I'll go to Darren Mills first.
Mayor, I think it's just as a building, I couldn't get being really
is still on the call with us or not, but, my perspective is on it that I don't see a need. I mean, if we were going to buy it, we'd probably just tear the house down and use the lot for storage or to put a building on, I suppose, and use it for some other kind of city storage. But I'm not really interested in purchasing it unless somebody else has a good reason why we ought to move forward with it at this time.
Well, who owns this house?
It is owned by Jody and Darlene Crane.
Yeah, I don't see anything that we need down through there anymore than what we got.
All right, well, WJ, this
Alderman
is,
here.
go ahead, Bill.
I don't really see a reason we're gonna spend 15 grand for it and probably pay 6 grand to haul it off and tear it down. So, you know, to me, that's $20,000 lot. That's not a very, that's not much of a bargain, actually.
I'd make a motion we don't purchase it, Will, if that'll help.
Alderman Bratton will second that motion. Although I don't think we need a motion.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion not to do something. I think we can just, say that we're not interested in it and communicate that to them, and we can move on.
Alright.
I'll take my motion back.
Me too.
Thank you, Alderman McCollum and Alderman Bratton for that. Turn it back over to WJ Pittman.
Alright, so that's the last item under new business. Is there any public comment under budget and finance? Sounds like no public comment. We can move on to budget and finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pittman. That takes us to Building and Grounds, chaired by Gary McComb. Gary, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, there's no old business. Under new business, this is a consideration of agreement with Murphysboro Traffic Incorporated for the use of the shooting range. They're no longer hauling this, as any affiliation with the high school, other than the kids will be shooting out of high school, but, if they consider this a Murphysboro trap team, they can only shoot so many months. So I don't know if Mr. Rose is on here now or not. Scott Strack is on, Gary. Go ahead. Yeah, I tell you guys, we had a really great season last year. It really exceeded our expectations. And as a result of that, we are making a transition to the Scholastic Play Target program. It gives us a lot of flexibility, and had we been able to actually have the spring season this year, our roster would have doubled. So, in preparation for this, we have formed our own not-for-profit corporation, Murphysboro Traffic Incorporated. We are in the process of applying for our 501c3. The big advantage SCTP gives us over the Illinois High School League is the value of our insurance for each student increases from $2 million to $10 million, and also they will insure our range for $10 million at no additional cost. Another benefit of the league is that they don't actually set a season. Season runs from September 1 to August 31. It gives us a lot of flexibility to set our own season date. And when we want to shoot, we can have spring season, we can have fall season, or anything in between. It also has an allowance in there for us to keep our graduating seniors who go on to college that are interested in shooting collegiate level. They can still participate with us. So all around, it's really a win-win for the kids. Because the way the high school Play Target League is set up right now, we only had use of our facility for 3 months out of the year when we had insurance. Well, once we get this set up and it's approved and in place, we'll be insured year-round for the facility's part. Okay, thank you for that. On this too, I think, on your insurance part, city will be made out on that too, won't they? Yes, yes. And does, the law firm have to draw up or the city law firm have to draw up anything on this?
We have, this is Richard Blake. We already have the agreement we prepared when it was anticipated the agreement would be with the school districts. So we can revise this agreement to put in the different specifics that it will be Murphysboro Trap Inc. and adjust our insurance provisions and what else we would need to in that agreement if the city council wants to do so.
I would entertain a motion to move forward with this when all the legal paperwork is ready and signed. If anybody wanna make that motion.
Alderman McComb, this is Alderman Hughes. Is Chief Ellemeyer on?
He's here in the council chambers.
I'd like to hear his input on this, please.
All right, hold on just a moment. He was on the other side of the room. Hold on just a moment. He was on the other side of the room and he's here with us now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we had a meeting with school administration, Mr. Rose and Mr. Strack last week. Had a real good meeting. The switch over is still going to involve kids in Murphysboro, which was our main goal to start with when we agreed to the program. So it's just going to carry on and they'll get to shoot year round instead of just 12 weeks out of the year. Just it's whoever's going to make the contract up, need to be in contact because there'll be some things that we'll want to know about to add in the contract ourselves.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we're gonna have, just Alderman Bratton, I guess there's gonna have to be a lot more coordination when they're gonna actually be out there shooting, with the sewer plant employees out there working, and them not realize they're out there.
Danny, they shoot, I think I answered part of that, they don't shoot anywhere before, the only time that would be coordinated is when the city guys are mowing, would be the big question.
Okay. Now that they're gonna be there, can be there 12 months a year, I think there needs to be something set up in agreement to where the proper people are notified so no one gets hurt, including the students. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Any other questions? Does anybody wanna make a motion to go through with this?
Alderman Bratton, I'll make a motion.
Alderman Hughes will second it.
Will, we need a roll call vote.
Clerk Hunsaker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Curry Woodson.
Yes.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Pearson.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Urvis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos. Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
Motion carries. That's all under, new business. Is there any public comment on building and ground? Hearing none, Will, I think we can move out of building and ground.
Thank you very much, Mr. McComb. That takes us to Community Relations, chaired by John Urvis. Mr. Urvis?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business, no new business. Do we have any public comment or comment from the council? Not much happening in the community these days. Frank? Unfortunately.
Yeah, we're
Well,
missing.
you would be. You missed the cruise night.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing the cruise nights and a multitude of other things that we're used to having for sure.
Well,
Mr. McComb.
yes, would this be a time to bring up, I like for, well, you especially in the council to consider opening up our, barber shops and our beauty shops with some strict rules on, like just use, give this barber shop, for instance, they could be two people in getting a haircut. When one walks out, somebody could get out of their car and walk in. The same way on a beauty shop. I hear a lot from the guys about haircuts and a lot about the older women about their hair turning gray. So I just want to bring that up.
Well, I appreciate the comments. I have thought that the salons and the barber shops, like in some of the other states that have opened, should have been allowed to open by now. I know that those salons and barber shops are also regulated, I think, by the Illinois State Board of Professional Regulation, and so there would be, I suppose, some risk from the state of Illinois that they could face some kind of backlash if they were to do that outside of the governor's order. But I have felt all along that there should have been or could have been ways to allow people to, get those services with wearing a mask and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that suggestion, but you asked for my thoughts, and those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor.
It sure doesn't make sense that we can have dogs groomed, but not ourselves.
Yes, it doesn't make much sense.
And Jim does not want me to cut his hair again.
Somebody else does it.
That's true. Absolutely true.
But you're right, Mayor, they do have a state license, so that would be an issue, I believe.
Mayor,
I think
when
there's
we're
a
taking
$1,000
state
fine if you
licenses,
get caught. And possible revoking your license, what I've been told.
Ms. Hughes, did you have something else you wanted to add?
yes, I'm sorry. I wonder if we could check with the state licensing board, because the last I heard, they really hadn't put out any, stipulation on open versus closed. They were just going along with non-essential businesses being closed. So it may be something that we could look into, to see if their licensing board has anything issued yet.
I could certainly investigate that. I would say that if they are made up of people appointed by the governor's office, they'll probably be in favor of keeping their employment. But I'm more than willing to investigate this. I know some other communities have been more vocal and have reopened. I was hoping that the governor's order would be modified as it went along. I know today the Illinois Municipal League and all 1,392 of its members that it represents sent a letter to the governor asking that the regions that are being used to guide the reopening be tailored to 11 instead of the current 5, and that the 28 days would be modified to 14, because it just makes zero sense. Illinois is not an island, and there's no electrified fence around it, and people are going to go to Paducah and Cape and these places to do things that they previously did in our communities in southern Illinois. So it's a policy that I understand the intent, but in practice it doesn't seem to work. All right, well, if there's nothing further under community relations, John, I don't remember if you had called for public comment. I think you had.
Yes, I have.
All right, well, that'll take us out of community relations and into public improvement. Improvement chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian. Alderman Bastian?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business on the agenda. Under new business, we do have the consideration of a request from the Murphysboro Main Street in reference to their All Together Now campaign. Everybody had included in their packet a email that was sent, from Jamie Green, the president of Murphysboro Main Street. Jamie, are you on the line? Do we have anyone from Murphysboro Main Street on the line? Mayor, do you have anything other than the email that was sent to us with the different phases about their rollout plan?
I don't have anything more than the email, but I did have a conversation with Jamie Green and the permission that they are seeking to put ribbons around the light poles along Walnut Street. I know it was the only part of their plan that they were, going to need permission to do. They were just wanting to make sure that they were all right in that regard.
In that regard, yes, and that, they did put that request. Alderman,
I'd make the motion to let them put the ribbons up.
okay, we have a motion by, Alderman McComb. Do we have a second?
Alderman Pittman will second.
Alderman Pittman seconded. Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, did we have some opposes?
All right, I think the motion carries.
Okay, that is all that is under public improvement. Do we have any public comment? We could close public improvement, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bastian. That takes us into Public Works, chaired by Mr. Dan Bratton. Dan?
Okay, old business, update on railroad cleanup and damage to Shoemaker Drive. I don't really know much about the update on the cleanup, and I know that there were a few people concerned about the damage, and Alderman Purvis for sure. And I've been down there and looked, and I could not see where they actually had damaged that road, but it's been about a week and a half since I've been there, so I don't know if anybody else has any information there, or one of the older persons.
Well, I think in looking, John has expressed several times it's not necessarily the newly paved portion, but it's the portion heading the other direction over the old railroad bed that seems to be cracked and more damaged. It would seem to be that if we want to submit a claim for damages to the railroad or seek that we're going to have to do it through our city attorney in some amount to be determined. I don't know if I'm headed down the right path on that or not, in the sense, John, do you have anything to add to my line of thinking there?
No, I think we should just get an idea what it would cost. I mean, it's definitely, they're definitely wearing more holes or cracks in that section, for sure.
Well, I would ask Mr. Mills to go inspect that portion of the street and then gather up an estimate as to what it would take to properly mill out, patch, repair that section, in particular the portion that was not resurfaced in and around where they have been entering and leaving the remediation site. Darren, do you think you could do that for us?
Yes, I could. I'll get a measurement on it and I'll get it separate and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, Darren.
I would like to make a suggestion that, seeing how we have our own asphalt, a contractor here in Murphysboro, we check with them on that.
All right, duly noted. We will definitely make that contact as we go through the process.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Hey, Dan,
Yes?
this is Eric.
Yes.
I did talk to the head environmental engineer with AECom, and he gave me a little bit of time limit or timetable on when the work they're gonna be doing. He was saying that they thought they might be done with the dirt work, depending on weather, of course, next week. They will do, hydro seeding, to get the grass growing. The fence is scheduled probably for June to go in, and then they will plant the trees, sometime this fall.
Okay, great. Appreciate that information. Is there any other comments? If not, there's no new business, we'll go to, is there any public comment? If not, Mayor will come out of Public Works.
Thank you very much, Alderman Bratton. That takes us to Public Safety, chaired by Mr. Russell Brown. Russell, are you still with us this evening?
Yes.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Okay, we got two items on old business. Discussion regarding the Gillenburg property. Do you ever hear anything else from county?
I have not heard anything from the county, but I did send an email today to all the members of the county board. And the email just says that, after 12 months of the building being in that condition, a person would think that a solution could have been found, and that if there was a logjam of communication between the Summers family and the lawyers and the insurance companies in the county, that they ought to try to do everything they could to overcome it. And I told them I appreciated all of their services, and I hope everybody was doing safe, doing well, and so I left it at that. But I haven't heard anything else about it other than Ryan Rawson told me in a conversation that he's getting impatient because his costs of renting that fence and everything else is going way up, and he's ready to pull out of the whole project altogether. And so it's a mess and a half is what it is.
Mayor, this is Richard Blake. I know that Joe Summers has submitted an FOIA request to the county to try to get information and any reports that would have as to the condition of the county's building that adjoins his. He did get some documents, didn't get what he wanted, and is following up with further Freedom of Information Act requests to try to get any reports that they do have. He hasn't been able to get those yet. So, of course, that he could give those to Mr. Rawson to review, address any concerns as to the condition of the county's building, and if it's going to fall in when Mr. Rawson would proceed to tear down Mr. Summers' building.
Thank you for that update, Richard.
At least we got to ask what will be down.
Say again, Russell?
I said at least we got to ask what will be down.
Fair enough.
Okay, next item was discussion regarding no parking on John.
Yeah, Russell, this is Alderman McComb. I don't know when that was declared a street, started out as an alley. We have a 20-foot alleyway down through there, or city right of way. Some of that blacktop street is 7 foot wide. I measured from the driveways over 20 feet, and we're out. Our right of way would be about 10 foot out in that field that guy's griping about the tire tracks. It's really be on the city right of way. I would like to see our city engineer go down and stake out our right of way on the nice north side of each end, so we could tell where our right of way is before we bump them people out parking on that street.
we need a motion on that?
I wouldn't think.
I don't think we need a motion on that. Mr. Sheffer, are you on the line? Are you in agreement, with that activity?
Yes, we'll see that gets done.
All right, very good.
That's all I know. Could you let me know? Harold, could you let me know when you go down there so I can come down and see where the stakes are at before they get removed?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give you a call in the morning, Gary.
All right, thank you, Harold.
I do want to share an email that I received from Stacy Mittendorf, who lives in the neighborhood. She sent this to me today, and it is in concerning the John Street no parking issue. She wrote, I'm writing to voice my concern about the no parking signs that were put up on John Street a few weeks ago. I don't see a reason for there to be no parking on both sides of the street. Most, not all, but most streets in town there is parking allowed on one side. I feel at least we need to have that option on John Street. Allowing parking on the side where our houses are located, to me, would be okay. I feel that what we do on our own street is being limited, and I feel that we are constantly being watched. A car can't even be on the road for more than 5 minutes, and the cops are always called. I feel bad for the Murphysboro Police Department to always have to deal with this. It's a constant quote, we touch their grass, call the cops situation. And she goes on to describe another of other incidents where she says people are just barely getting on that property and they're being called on the carpet for it. So she ends the email by saying, I would like you to consider removing them altogether or removing them at least on our side of the street so we can park there at times when needed. I don't think there's any harm being done when we are on our own side of the street. I appreciate your time in this matter, Stacy Middendorf.
Well, on where he's driving about on them parking on the far side, I think it's civic property. That's why I want to get the stake down there before we make a motion on, enforcing any of this issue.
Well, I'm in agreement with that, Gary. I just wanted to make sure I shared that email from the resident.
Yeah, I know that. I just like to get it staked out so we know what's ours and what's not. So I think where he's driving, where they have parked, is not on his property. It's really on city property. When we get the stakes down there, we'll know for sure, and you'll know where our property is too. I'd like to see this put off till the next meeting.
That's fine by me. We'll
Mayor,
do that.
this is Alder. Can I add something? So, it doesn't seem like any of the residents that actually live on that street, are interested in having no parking on that street. Currently, we've got signs up that we don't have an ordinance for no parking on that street. Instead of having to send the engineer down to do all that, I mean, I would think we could just pull the signs and be done with this issue, if doesn't sound like any of the council is, too, much concerned with having that being no parking.
Well, I'd make a motion if you wanted to remove the stop signs, or the no parking sign.
I would second that motion.
All right, Clerk Hunziker, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Curry-Witzman.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Pearson.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Urbis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos. Alderman Pittman.
All right, motion carries.
That was all under old business. New business, Bellemare, you wanna answer that?
Just one moment, he'll be with us.
Yes, Richard Blake has went back and forth with the school's attorney on this for the last probably 4 weeks, and I think we've got it drafted correctly. Everything looks like it's good to me and Sandra, we looked it over. So Richard, do you have anything to add on it?
No, just, I don't know if everybody remembers just the basic terms of what the agreement is. It's for the city to provide a school resource officer to the school district for their 4 schools located within the city. The school district is going to reimburse the city for 75% of the salary and benefits of that SRO officer. If the SRO officer performs any overtime services for the school district will pay 100% of that compensation. It's a 3-year agreement beginning with the 2020-2021 school year. During that 3rd year, there would be the option of the parties to agree to extend it another year. There's provisions for that if it would be a reason for either party to decide that agreement isn't going to work, there's a provision for termination on 90 days notice. It's specified that if it's the school district that would terminate, then the school district is still locked in to pay the city throughout that entire school year, during which the termination, if it's the school district that would terminate. If it's, on the other hand, if it's the city that decided the city wanted out, after that 90-day termination period, the requirement for compensating the city would come to an end. But if anybody has any questions about the SRO officer actually does, I think that's something for Chief Bellemare to address, or if anybody has any questions about the agreement itself, I can answer those questions.
Nobody has any questions, Will, I'd make that motion.
I'll second the motion, Alderman Bratton.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. McCollum, a second from Mr. Bratton. Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Curry Witzman.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Pearson. Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Urbis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos. Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
So this is Alderman Pearson. I think I had mine on mute, but I vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that
That's
motion
voting.
carries.
Have any public comment? Now we'll come out of public safety.
Thank you very much, Alderman Brown. That takes us to personnel, chaired by Ms. Barber Hughes. Ms. Barr?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, we have nothing under old business, nothing under new business. Although, Mayor, is there any update that you need to do about negotiations?
I don't have any update to make.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any public comment on personnel? Hearing none, I think we can get out of here, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Appreciate that. That takes us to the.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor, this is Alderman Bastian real quick. I believe we do now have Jamie Green on the line. She had trouble getting through with the code. I would like to request that we open public improvement up and see what Jamie has to say, if she has any questions for us. Jamie, are you on the line?
Jamie, are you there? Okay, yeah, I reopened public improvement, if you wanna go ahead and address the council briefly.
First, I just want to say thank you for approving the ribbon on the sign. I just wanted to touch base on the purpose and what we're trying to roll out to the city. Basically, we want to show appreciation, give encouragement and motivation to all the small businesses. Since we are Murphysboro Main Street and our concentration is Walnut Street, in efforts to bring more businesses downtown, that is where our focus will be. So it is not to purposely let out any other businesses that are not on Walnut Street. But in reality, we can't serve every single street that a business is on. So we voted on a slogan for the campaign called All Together Now, and we will roll out 3 phases as the weeks go on based on how the measures of COVID happen, to try to keep business owners and people of the town motivated to contact shops, contact businesses to see if they can purchase from them in a social distancing way, to try to keep them afloat. And so we will be the request to put ribbons around the light poles. We are having t-shirts made, signs, decals, and many other items, a banner to go across Walnut Street, to be able to show this motivation to the businesses, keep encouraging them as they're kind of getting through this in a lot of during this time. And to phase 2, we'll roll out a couple fundraisers that will enable us to purchase things and distribute out to the public from our local businesses. And phase 3 will be an ultimate grand reopening of our Walnut Street for all the small businesses, and we'll make that a big event, and we know more to come on a date that may be possible.
Great. Thank you, Jamie, for the update. Does the alderman have any questions for Jamie? Okay, with that being said, we can close public improvement. Thank you, Mayor, for letting me reopen it.
Oh, you're very welcome, and we really appreciate the feedback from Ms. Green and all that her and her husband are doing to help improve Walnut Street and our Main Street organization. All right, so that takes us into the mayor's report. I'll go to Mr. Sheffer, although I doubt there's anything on the Rubel flooding issue to report. I may as well ask. Harold, anything there?
I have made contact with David Canning and the league, so we are making a little bit of progress with that. We can do that. So hopefully, I'm tough to meet with people these days, but we are trying to do the neighbors person. I've mailed theirs out. I don't think anybody knows who that is, but hopefully we'll get a response from them.
All right. While I'm talking to you, Harold, what is the update on the wastewater treatment plant road? Are we going to get that built sometime?
Well, I talked to Steve Boyd today, and the pond is across from the house that's down there. They pumped that out. They pumped that out 2 or 3 times. With all the rain we've had, the water's back in there. So we went out today and looking at the possibility of possibly changing that alignment of that road a little bit. Maybe that would help them out. I don't know whether we'll be able to accomplish that or not, but we told them that we would go out and take a look at it.
Well, it seems like there's never a good time to get that thing built. I just hope that we continue to, push them in a responsible way to get underway. And because it's just never going to be a perfect time to get it done, and in that area, conditions are never going to be perfect.
No, they're not. I mean, we talked about putting rock down. We're trying to get them out of that old pond area. I think is the main thing. If we can do that without impacting anything else, I think it might be a solution.
It seems.
Harold, are the people wanting to keep that pond?
No, they don't. But I mean, there's just really nowhere to drain it. I mean, everything it just kind of sits in the hole between the berm of the railroad track and the road. And they pumped it out 2 or 3 times. But every time it rains, the water just gets right back in there. So it was full today.
Can Can't they dig it down and put a culvert at the bottom of it, a small culvert, 24 inch or something?
The other issue with it is the mud that's at the bottom of that thing. They stuck their tackle bucket in, and it gets it down probably 4, 5, 6 feet, and then they didn't hit bottom on it. So that's another issue that's going to be present there too if you try to stay in that area.
Okay, that's a suggestion.
All right, well, I'll move on from that and go to the next item under the mayor's report, which is consideration of development of Route 13 and Country Club Road. This is the area that we annexed into the city limits. It's owned by Cliff Mills. Cliff has written me a letter, and he says we have a new business that wants to come to Murphysboro. He talks about the 12 years that went by trying to get the property annexed into the city. And the primary thing that the person who is purchasing that property wants to do is put up a digital billboard and then do some grading and sell the lots off to other retail businesses. The person is Ed Robinson Outdoor. He points out that there are a number of other billboards across the highway and in similar areas. Of course, we know we have an ordinance that doesn't permit billboards inside city limits. We talked about this a couple of years ago with Riker's proposal. So I know Alderman Bratton has been in contact with this gentleman. Danny, do you want to speak to this some?
Yeah, he seemed like a very straightforward guy. He's probably gonna have, by the time he gets that 5 acres all leveled off, probably in the neighborhood of 700,000 in that piece of property. And I asked him a question if he was going to. He said he did not have anybody lined up to go in there, but he works with 5 to 6 different developers, and he's sure that they will, and that he was going to push it because he would like to get his investment back, plus make a little bit of money. He is wanting to put up a digital billboard, and he is willing to give us some free advertisement notices and stuff like that. And not only, when I spoke to him, he said, not only on this one particular one, but other ones that I own also. He's using a local dirt contractor. So that's good, and it's, that should be a really good corner for a convenience store or any other store that wants to go of Walmart. And I know if we wouldn't have spent all the hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting to get Walmart in the city limits, we'd be in bad shape now because of the sales tax. So this guy's going to invest a little over 700,000 in that piece of property. That sign's not going to make any kind of money compared to that. So he's going to push this, and we're going to have some retail businesses in there where we're going to be able to draw sales tax. I think that, personally, I think we ought to more than just consider this. I think we ought to do it. I think before this, and I've talked to Eric Kennedy about this, we need to go talk to, and I'll be glad to go with Eric, or myself, or whoever wants to, go down and talk to Mr. Greider and say, telling that we see the errors of our ways, things are changing, and if he wants to contact the company that's going to put the other one up for him for free, just feel free to do so. I'm definitely in favor of this. I think it'll help 2 local people. It'll help Mr. Mills, and it'll also help Mr. The excavator, which I'm not going to. But I think it's a thing for Murphysboro. Why, this sign, we're going to have signs on other properties somewhere. We don't have to have it going down Walnut Street. We can still limit the amount of number of signs if somebody's worried about that. But, I still got a flip-flop phone. The rest of these got a little fancy phones. I like the old-fashioned billboard. And what he he wants to put in. So that's all I have to say about it, and I definitely make a motion to do this. And I believe that
Mayor,
person is
Mayor, it's Alderman Bastian.
Yes, Mr. Bass.
Just wanted to say I agree. I just wanted to say I agree 100%, with Alderman Bratton. Don't fall out of your chair, I'll stand.
I'm sitting down. Hey, I'm coming home, Ethel.
Yes. Okay, but I do agree with him 100%, so.
Well,
This is Richard.
I heard Mr. McComb, once before, so we'll go to him and then go to Attorney Blake has something to add also.
Well, I just think to get these businesses in here and get them started, I mean, we need the businesses out there. That's why we got that property in. And we need to redo that ordinance and permit these signs. I agree with Danny and Mike on that.
All right,
This is Richard Blake now.
yes, go ahead.
Okay, under our current zoning code, billboards are not allowed anywhere except the industrial district, and there are certain standards that have to be met there. The billboards we have now are ones that were grandfathered in, they're pre-existing zoning. The land from, including the motel property at recent amendment to B2, out to where this property is, to Cliff Mills, is recently annexed, is now zoned as B2. If we're going to say this property can have a billboard, Chris Arthur can have a billboard, we're going to have to let anybody in B2 districts have billboards in accordance with whatever standards we're going to set for billboards. We're not going to be able to just pick and choose. This property gets a billboard, this property gets a billboard, others don't. If you're going to allow billboards in B2 districts, we're going to have to come up with some kind of standards that allows new billboards in B2 districts, which will include all B2 districts, which is also a lot of the property running out to the Kroger area. So just keep in mind, we just can't pick out properties and pick and choose who gets to have a billboard and who doesn't. We will have to have set forth standards for billboards, and whoever in the B2 district meets those standards is going to be entitled to a billboard. And also in the process of doing this, it will require a public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals, approving of whatever amendments we're going to make to the zoning code. And procedurally wise, then it will come back to the city council for action if it's going to go in that direction. That's all I have to add right now.
Richard, could the city itself establish a billboard permit such that people that wanted to put up a billboard in a place zoned B2 would have to apply, no different than getting, say, a liquor license or a cigarette license or something else from the city?
We could include a permitting process, but it would be through the zoning code. And we could make it a special use permit within the zoning code. But then there would still be standards that would have to be uniformly applied to everyone.
All right, thank you for that feedback. So realistically, Richard, say that the council would want to do this. What is the timeline, in your estimation, to get through those other hoops that you described?
We would have to put together whatever's proposed to be done, the procedure, what the standards are to have a billboard in a B2 district. Eric can correct me if he wants. If I get the days wrong, we have to set up a hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals that has to have, I believe, a minimum of 15 days notice prior. I believe it's 30 to 15 days notice prior, published in the newspaper. It would have to be, generally, we have to serve a notice of any change to any adjacent property owner, but if this is to the B2 district in general, I do not know that would apply. Because our B2 districts are pretty big. We'd have to look at zoning code. From there, as assuming that the, zoning board of appeals would make the recommendation, it could be, then be considered at the next city council meeting.
All right, so it's more complicated than we originally thought, or at least than I originally thought.
Mayor, there's Alderman,
I believe I heard Alderman Irvis.
well, just, to remind everyone, that was the issue when the Greither was asking for the billboard, was because it, opens the door for anybody. So I would like to see what our standards are gonna be before I would vote in favor of this.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Irvis.
I agree with Scott. Yeah.
I mean, I'm all in favor for the development. I think it's a great idea, but, we don't want 100 billboards between here and Walmart either.
All right, well, I would suppose that somebody, I can do it, needs to take a look at some other model ordinances that some other communities may have, and we may have done that back when we considered the Greither issue. Mr. Pearson, did I hear you with something to say?
No, I think it was Alderman Bell, I did that.
No, it was Alderman McComb.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I think we need to look at this pretty heavy. I mean, if the guy's gonna put $200,000 or $300,000 in that property after he buys it, we need to figure out a way to get it developed to get the tax dollars in. I mean, we need to look this over good on the billboards, and if we can't get this through, they don't just try to get this property developed and drive the skid in here, then see if there's not a way we can take these in consideration one by one.
Well, I would like us to go back and research what we put together. Perhaps Mr. Blake may have researched other ordinances back when we considered the Greitler billboard and get those to the members of the city council. I don't remember if it was our attorney, maybe it was Ms. Ripley, I'm not sure who gathered that information together. But we don't need to reinvent the wheel, we just need to look at what other folks are doing and try to craft something that works for us.
Good idea.
This is Richard again. I'm not sure that we did have any other, cities billboard ordinances, but it wouldn't be hard to look up a few and then provide those to everybody to look over.
All right, Richard, if you would do that, I would appreciate it.
I will.
Mayor, this is.
Will?
I believe I heard Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I'll get with Richard and we'll get together and pull some, from other towns.
That would be great, thank you. Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, I think that is there any way we can get an unofficial kind of how people feel about this? Because I think the purchase on this property is somewhat time sensitive, and I'm not trying to push anybody one way or the other. I want you to vote with your own conscience. I'm in favor of it, but I think there is a time sensitive to this piece of property. And I know it's kind of late in the game of my word giving it, but we just now got it, this thing. So I know I'm going to be asked tomorrow. I'm going to get at least one phone call, not two, what the outcome is. So I don't want to tell them we're leaning not to. I don't want to tell them we're leaning to go forward with it, but we have to go through these hoops before we can do it, or what. I'd like somebody to tell me, give me some guidance on this. I think I'll be contacted in the morning.
Well, I'm certainly happy to go through and just ask everybody what they think, or, in order to keep everybody from jumping on top of one another. WJ, do you have thoughts?
Honestly, I'm okay with billboards along that section of 13 or 127. I mean, there's several there already. If we set some sort of distance between them, that was reasonable, I would be okay with billboards being along either of those stretches of highway.
Alderman Brown, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll be in favor of it. We need some business around here.
All right, Alderman Pearson?
Well, yeah, I'm in favor, we gotta have business out there, it's fine, it would help, but as Richard said, if we go with finding B two, we're gonna have everybody, I don't know how far B two goes, but it probably goes all the way down Walnut Street, all the way down to the town, all the way up 14th Street. So, we wanna decide whether or not we want signs all over the place, before we just want on Route 13 and 47. If it includes all of B two, then we're gonna open a big can of worms for signs that, we may not like when they put them up. I'm in favor of the process, I mean, if Flint can sell that thing and get it developed, it'd be a big plus for us, but, the signage thing needs to really be researched, and when Richard and Eric get the thing researched quickly, we should be able to make a decision, without too much trouble, I think, if they research what other towns have done, and let us know what we're doing, so I'm in favor of it, I don't wanna be not in favor, we just get to be careful about what we're doing.
Thank you very much, Alderman Pearson. Is Ms. Hughes on the line? Do you want to express yourself on this matter?
Yes, I'd rather agree with Bill. I'm in favor of it, but I also am cautiously in favor of it. I know that we did a lot of research, or Mr. Blank did perhaps, when we talked about acres, and there was seemingly a good reason we all voted that down. I would like to really have more information before I commit myself either way.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Ms. Campos or Ms. Witzman?
I'm here, this is Alderman Winston. I also too remember that in-depth discussion that we had as to why we had the apprehension of allowing the signage as well, but I just don't remember all of the details involving. So I also would like to get additional information as well. I do agree or briefly, vaguely remember that there was a reasonable reason as to why we said no initially.
All right, Mr. Bratton, does that satisfy you?
Yes, and I appreciate that very, very much. I'll just pass on that the majority, I think, are in favor of it. We need to do some research because it's gonna affect a lot of other properties. And, until then, we can't give them a definite answer, but I would say that it looks good. Maybe that'll, being time sensitive, maybe that will give the buyer a little bit of extra time with Mr. Mills.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey, this is John, this is Alderman Urbis. My question, I guess, what is it we're being asked to do?
We are being asked to amend our ordinance such as to allow the billboard to be built.
Okay, but the agenda is just a consideration of development, so I guess that was my question, what is it we're being asked to do? And that's what it is to amend.
Yes,
We don't have anything to do with approving the purchase or the sale, correct?
no, we do not. This was just part of the development that the developer says is critical to his ability to go forward with the development. So that was how it got agendaed that way.
All right, thank you.
And if I could just add something, I should have, it also says that we will receive free advertising for festivals, news, updates, and any other reasons, space permitting. There will be live tornado warnings on there, and there's some other stuff that's going to be too that doesn't affect us. Well, it does affect us because it affects the business and the community. They'll have another form of advertising. So, but if I'm contacted tomorrow, I'll pass on what I said I would, and I appreciate everybody's input.
if there's no further discussion on that item, I will go ahead into council member requests. And I'll go first to Alderman Brown,
Nothing.
Alderman Pittman,
I've got nothing.
Alderman Bratton,
I just sure would like to see that road out there, Harold. Let a fire under it. Thank you. All right.
Alderman McComb, Alderman McComb, Alderman Urbis,
Nothing, thank you.
Alderman Pearson,
Yeah, one of my comments was gonna be to get that road done. I've been out there several times. I can't see any part of it at all. I can't believe they can't build a 400-foot road across there with all the crap going on. That was my comment to the line.
thank you, Mr. Pearson. I echo that. Ms. Curry Witzman,
Man,
is Ms. Curry Witzman still on the line? I'll go to Alderman Bastion,
Nothing.
Ms. Hughes,
I don't really have anything, just everybody stay safe, and Mayor, thanks for all the updates that you're keeping us up on, the social distancing and the state mandate.
thank you very much for that. Ms. Campos, all right, I think I got to everyone. I'll go to department head requests. I'll go to Mr. Gladson,
I have nothing.
Mr. Manwaring,
I have nothing.
Mr. Evans,
Nothing.
Ms. Volley,
I have nothing, thank you.
Chief McBride. He's here in the council chambers and says he has nothing. Chief Ellermeyer, he is also in the council chamber and says that he has nothing to add. Clerk Hunziker, she's also here in the council chamber. Ms. Ripley,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Mills,
Nothing.
Mr. Sheffer,
I do have a few things. AECom is closing out the project out at the Ameren site. We did do the trading. Got that all completed. We went out and looked at it today. It looks fine there. They are trying to, again, close this project out. I need to get with Sandra to see if there's any outstanding bills that he might have. We still have to complete the water main, which again is being held up by river levels in order to be able to dig and install that 100 foot of water main. So I'll get with Sandra on any bills we might have. And we did send E.T. Simon. They're supposed to be getting us costs hopefully by tomorrow for the intersections along Walnut Street. City might want to entertain asphalting while we go by there. So hopefully the next meeting we'll have those. The oil and shipping, we did prepare an estimate on that, and so hopefully council can consider that at the next meeting. And then also just today, CCEO with Governor Pritzker came out with a fast track capital grant program, which is kind of a $25 million initiative trying to complete critical public infrastructure projects that maybe aren't getting done because of tax law. So there are some webinars coming up on that. Really, I didn't know anything about it. I just came out today, so we'll look into that and see how it might apply to some of the city projects.
thank you, Mr. Sheffer, for that update. And before AECom closes out there on that cleanup project, I'd like to have when you're gonna have that meeting with them or anything final with them, I'd like to be included in that meeting if you don't mind, Mr. Shepherd.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, are they having someone down here tomorrow? Yes, actually, I'm walking both sites tomorrow.
What time
The
is
river
it?
site and then the future site up at, the other building on Walnut Street.
What time is that meeting?
10 o'clock. At the one for the river.
All right, well, I'll make myself available for that. I appreciate you letting me know. Thank you.
And who's that with? Sorry, what was that?
I don't know. I think that was Ghost of Christmas Past or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check with the engineer I'm gonna be dealing with, Tom too, mayor, and see about getting him down here too before we get this closed down.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lee?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Richard Blake?
I have nothing.
Mr. Kennedy?
I have nothing.
All right, that is everyone that I know is on the call. Is there anyone else from the department head requests that I failed to recognize? All right, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.